Welcome back to Terra and Urban Myths. Thanks for joining us. As we explore this tale steeped in folklore and mystery, the Silver Maiden.
Mm-hmm.
I think most people know her as this figure of grace, even piety,
Right.
often depicted with, those iconic silver hands.
Yes.
But we're going beyond that familiar image.
Okay.
What if those silver hands weren't a blessing, but a sign of something far more unsettling?
Yeah.
Before we get started, if you're enjoying our explorations into the dark and mysterious, please do subscribe to our podcast and give us a like.
Always appreciate it.
Your support means the world to us as we continue to bring you these chilling tales.
Of course.
Now let's delve into the heart of this, reimagined legend.
Okay.
In this version, the Silver Maiden doesn't simply receive her silver hands as a gift.
Right.
She obtains them through a pact.
Interesting.
And not with any benevolent deity, but with a sinister water spirit.
This immediately sets a different tone, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The water spirit, often dwelling in the depths, represents the unknown, the primordial forces.
Right.
That can be both life-giving and destructive.
Absolutely.
This pact isn't just a transaction, it's a gamble,
I see.
with something far more ancient and powerful than the maiden could possibly comprehend.
It's a fascinating twist on the traditional narrative.
It is.
But what does she sacrifice in exchange for those silver hands?
The story suggests she gives up her voice, her laughter, essentially her ability to experience joy.
Wow.
This is a profound loss going beyond the physical.
Yeah.
It speaks to the silencing of her true self, her spirit.
That makes you think about what the silver hands truly represent.
Yeah.
They're not just a physical change.
Yeah.
They're a symbol of this bargain,
Right.
a constant reminder of what she has surrendered and the entity to which she is now bound.
Precisely. They become an embodiment of the pact itself,
Yes.
a physical manifestation of her connection to the water spirit's realm.
Mm-hmm.
And this connection has consequences that extend far beyond her own being.
Here's where the story takes another dark turn.
Okay.
The king, enamored by the Silver Maiden's ethereal beauty, fails to see the price she has paid.
Yeah.
He's blinded by the allure of those silver hands, unaware of the emptiness they conceal.
This blindness isn't just about romantic infatuation. It speaks to a larger theme of superficiality.
I see.
The danger of judging solely on appearances.
Right.
The king, representing perhaps those in power, is so captivated by the surface
Yeah.
that he misses the profound inner transformation, the darkness that's beginning to take root.
The king is deceived.
Yes.
But is there a more insidious force at play? The story mentions a devil who slanders the Silver Maiden.
Right.
Could this be more than just an external enemy?
That's where the psychological depth of this version truly emerges.
Okay.
What if the devil is not a separate entity, but a manifestation of her own internal darkness, amplified by the pact?
Wow.
The water spirit's influence doesn't just grant her silver hands, it unleashes a power within her that feeds on deceit and manipulation.
So the pact not only changes her physically, but also corrupts her from within.
Exactly.
It's like a poison that spreads first subtly, then with increasing force ultimately affecting those around her.
And this brings us to her decision to flee to the forest.
Right.
One might assume she's seeking sanctuary,
Right.
a place to escape the consequences of her choice.
Mm-hmm.
But is the forest truly a haven?
It's a striking image, the Silver Maiden seeking refuge in the deep woods.
It is.
But if we consider the water spirit's connection to the natural world,
right.
to the untamed elements, the forest could be interpreted as something far more ominous.
Indeed, the forest in many folk tales represents the unknown,
Yes.
a place of both beauty and danger.
Absolutely.
In this context, it could symbolize the heart of the water spirit's domain,
I see.
a place where she's not escaping, but rather entering deeper into its grasp.
Her dwelling, a seemingly quaint cottage nestled amongst the trees, takes on a different meaning than...
It does.
It's not a refuge, it's a gilded cage. A place where she's isolated and increasingly under the water spirit's influence.
And within this gilded cage, she gives birth to a child, a son named Dolorido.
Oh, wow.
Even his name, which means sorrow, reflects the profound sadness that pervades the story.
Yeah.
He's born into a world already tainted by the pact.
Right.
His very existence, a testament to its enduring consequences.
It's heartbreaking, isn't it?
It is.
This innocent child brought into a world already shadowed by his mother's choices.
Yes.
But there's a twist, isn't there?
There is.
Her original hands are returned.
Mm-hmm.
One might see this as a sign of redemption,
Right.
a chance to break free from the pact.
Yeah.
But is it truly an act of mercy?
That's a crucial point, the return of her original hands.
Okay.
On the surface, seems like a positive turn of events,
Yeah,
but if we look deeper, it could be seen as a manipulation.
I see.
A reminder that the water spirit still holds power over her, that it can grant and take away as it pleases.
Wow.
It reinforces her dependence, highlighting that she's still bound to the pact,
Okay.
despite the outward change.
So the return of her hands is not a release, but a reminder of her captivity.
Precisely.
And it's at this point that the king, unaware of the true depths of her situation, returns,
Yes.
expecting a joyful reunion.
The stage is set for a tragic collision.
It is.
The king arrives filled with hope for a happy ending,
Right.
completely oblivious to the darkness that has taken root in both the Silver Maiden
Yeah.
and the very essence of their kingdom.
The reunion, instead of being a moment of joy, becomes the beginning of something far more sinister.
Right?
The catalyst for a chain of events that will reveal the true cost of the Silver Maiden's bargain.
Indeed.
And that's where we'll pick up in our next installment of Terror and Urban Myths.
Looking forward to it.
See you then.
See you then. The king's return marks a turning point in the story, doesn't it?
It does.
It's a moment of dramatic irony, where we, as the audience,
Yeah.
know the true nature of the Silver Maiden's transformation, while the king remains blissfully ignorant.
It really heightens the tension, doesn't it?
It does.
We see this impending disaster,
Yeah.
but are powerless to stop it.
Right.
And the king's joy
yeah.
makes it all the more tragic.
Uh-huh.
He believes he's reuniting with his beloved,
Right.
but he's actually walking into a carefully constructed web of deceit.
His blindness to the truth underscores one of the central themes of the tale,
Hmm.
the seductive nature of appearances.
Yeah.
The Silver Maiden may look like the woman he once knew,
Right.
but inwardly, she's been profoundly changed by the pact.
I see.
And this change is reflected not just in her behavior, but in the very environment she inhabits.
The castle itself becomes a reflection of her inner turmoil, doesn't it?
It does.
The story describes the once vibrant halls,
Yeah.
now echoing with strange whispers,
Right.
and the festive atmosphere, replaced by an unsettling sense of dread.
It's as if the darkness within her is bleeding out into the world around her. The castle, which should be a symbol of security and happiness,
Right.
becomes a prison,
Yeah.
a gilded cage,
I see.
mirroring her own captivity to the water spirit's influence.
And the people within the court are also affected.
Right.
They become pawns in her manipulations,
Uh-huh.
caught in a web of suspicion and deceit.
The story suggests that the festivities, once joyous celebrations,
Right.
become
Yeah.
twisted, corrupted ritual.
It's as if the very fabric of their lives is being warped
Exactly.
by the Silver Maiden's connection to the water spirit.
The rituals serve as a powerful symbol, don't they?
They do.
They highlight how the Pact's influence
Yeah.
is not just personal,
Right.
but societal.
It's a perversion of the familiar, a reminder that even the most sacred traditions
Right.
can be corrupted by darkness.
And what about Dolorito?
Yeah,
How does he fare amidst this growing darkness?
it's tough.
The poor child is surrounded by deceit and manipulation, and his
Yeah.
own mother is the source of it all.
Dolorito's presence adds another layer of tragedy to the tale, doesn't it?
It does.
He's an innocent caught in the crossfire,
Yeah.
a victim of circumstances beyond his control.
His very name, Dolorito meaning sorrow,
Right.
underscores the pervasiveness of the darkness. It's as if the Pact's consequences have seeped into the very essence of his being.
It's a stark reminder that the choices we make
Right.
don't just affect us personally.
Uh-huh.
They have ripple effects that can impact generations to come.
And in this case,
Yeah.
Dolorito represents the most vulnerable victims,
Right.
those who inherit the consequences of choices they had no part in making.
His innocence also serves as a stark contrast
It does.
to the growing corruption around him.
He's a symbol of purity amidst the encroaching darkness.
Yeah.
Reminding us that even in the most desolate of circumstances,
Right.
hope can still exist.
His presence raises a question, though.
Hmm.
Can true innocence exist in a world so thoroughly tainted
Yeah.
by the Silver Maiden's pact? Can he escape the shadow?
That's a question that lingers throughout the story, isn't it?
It is.
It challenges us to consider the limits of hope,
Yeah.
the enduring power of darkness,
Right.
and the possibility of redemption. In a world where innocence is so often fragile and fleeting,
Dolorito's fate is intertwined with the fate of the kingdom
it is.
and the fate of the Silver Maiden herself.
Right.
And as the story unfolds, we see the water spirit's influence taking an even darker turn.
Uh-huh.
twisting not just perceptions, but reality itself.
The line between the natural and the supernatural begins to blur.
I see.
As whispers of water fill the halls of the castle,
Mm.
and reflections in mirrors reveal monstrous visages.
Oh, wow.
It's as if the water spirit's realm is bleeding into the physical world,
Right.
corrupting everything it touches.
It's a descent into a nightmare, isn't it?
It is.
The once grand castle becomes a haunted house.
Uh-huh.
The joyous festivities
Right.
replaced by macabre rituals.
Yeah.
And the love between the king and the Silver Maiden
Yeah.
twisted into something toxic and destructive.
The water spirit's power reaches its zenith in these moments, doesn't it?
It does.
It's a reminder that even in seemingly safe and familiar spaces,
Yeah,
darkness can take root and spread its tendrils,
right.
corrupting the very foundation of our lives. The story reaches its climax, and we see the full extent of the water spirit's influence.
Yeah.
It's no longer just whispering in the shadows. It's
Uh-huh.
manipulating perceptions, warping reality,
Yeah.
turning the familiar into something grotesque and terrifying.
The castle, once a symbol of the king's power and the kingdom's prosperity,
Right.
becomes a haunted labyrinth
It does.
filled with twisted reflections
Yeah.
and echoing with the sounds of the water spirit's encroaching realm.
It's as if the very walls are weeping,
Yeah.
lamenting the corruption that has taken root.
And the Silver Maiden, once a beacon of beauty and grace,
Right.
becomes a tragic figure trapped in a web of her own making.
She's a puppet dancing to the water spirit's tune. Her every action driven by a force she can no longer control.
Her silver hands, once so alluring,
Yes.
now seem cold and lifeless.
A constant reminder of the price she has paid for power
Yeah.
and the emptiness that lies beneath the surface.
They're a symbol of her lost agency,
They are.
her inability to break free from the pact that binds her.
The king, blinded by his love and oblivious to the true nature of her transformation,
Right.
remains a prisoner of his own perceptions.
He sees only what he wants to see,
He does.
clinging to the hope that he can somehow restore her to the woman she once was.
His blindness is both tragic and infuriating, isn't it?
It is.
It highlights the dangers of clinging to illusions,
Yeah.
of refusing to see the truth even when it's staring us in the face.
Absolutely.
He represents the part of us that wants to believe in fairy tales,
Right.
even when the evidence suggests otherwise.
Dolorito, caught in the crosshairs of this unfolding tragedy,
Yes.
becomes a symbol of the innocent victims of the Silver Maiden's choices.
He's a reminder that the consequences of our actions often extend far beyond ourselves,
Right.
impacting those we love and future generations.
His very name, Dolorito, meaning sorrow,
Right.
encapsulates the pervasive sadness that hangs over the story.
He's born into a world already tainted by darkness.
Yeah.
A world where even the most basic human connections are poisoned by deceit and manipulation.
But even amidst this despair,
Yes.
there's a glimmer of hope.
There is.
Dolorito's innocence, his inherent goodness, shines through the darkness, reminding us that even in the most corruptive environments,
Right.
the human spirit can endure.
He represents the possibility of redemption, the idea that even those who have been touched by darkness can find their way back to the light. His presence challenges us to believe that even in the face of overwhelming odds,
Right.
hope can still prevail.
The ending of this version of the Silver Maiden's tale is ambiguous,
It is.
leaving us to ponder the fate of the characters in the kingdom.
Hmm.
Did the Silver Maiden ever find peace?
Yeah.
Could the kingdom truly heal from the corruption that had taken root?
Right.
And what became of Dolorito, the child born into sorrow?
These unanswered questions are part of what makes this reimagined tale so haunting and thought-provoking.
Absolutely.
It challenges us to confront the complexities of human nature,
Yeah.
the seductive nature of power,
Right.
and the enduring struggle between light and darkness.
It's a story that stays with you long after you've heard it,
It is.
prompting you to examine your own beliefs about choice consequence
Mm-hmm.
and the possibility of redemption.
And it reminds us that even in the darkest of tales, there's always a glimmer of hope, a reminder that even in the face of overwhelming odds,
Right.
the human spirit can endure.
Thank you for joining us on this exploration of terror and urban myths.
It's been a pleasure.
If you enjoy this chilling reimagining of the Silver Maiden, please don't forget to subscribe to our podcast and give us a like.
Much appreciated.
It helps others find these captivating tales.
Indeed it does.
Until next time, keep exploring the shadows, keep questioning the familiar, and keep listening to terror and urban myths.
See you then.